Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Here's my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday. Your chance to sound off of on issues of a Second Amendment nature. And a chance to talk about guns and the firearms culture and so much more right here on the Michael Dukes Show. We are broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. And we are live around the world at michaeldukeshow.com as well on the interwebs. Good morning, my friends. How are you? Are you ready to are you ready to dive into it? TGIFF, right? Thank goodness it's finally Firearms Friday. Well, is that TGIFF? Thank goodness it's finally fire. Anyway, it's Friday. The weekend is right here. We're about ready to jump into it, and today is our chance to kind of let our hair down and to talk about those things that we care about the most. I mean, I like to call it my weekly therapy session. Oh, it's we're ready to go, and we're ready to get into it. So what's coming up on today's program? Well, today we are going to get started here in just a few moments with David Roberts from Alaska Shooting Specialties and Alaska Airguns. We're going to be talking about air rifles, the usages of them here in Alaska, the fact that you can actually hunt with air rifles in the state and the battle that went on over that, what people should know about what they can and can't do, and just kind of a general education on stuff like this. We've had several callers over the last year or so talk about the joys and usages of air guns and how they can be useful. I've watched a bunch of videos on the internet here over the last year because I think it's a fascinating idea. The technology has really advanced on that kind of stuff, and I'm kind of excited to dive down into the weeds a little bit with a local expert. So yes, there are air guns being sold in Alaska. I mean, you can get them over the internet pretty easily. So, again, surprising, unlike regular traditional firearms, they can be sold over the internet. But it's nice to have somebody who is local and who is ready to talk about these things. So it's going to be good. We're going to talk with David Roberts here in about, we'll be talking to him about 12, 14 minutes or so. We'll be diving in with that and talking with him. Then in hour 2, I've got some headlines and some other stuff to discuss, and we will see what other kind of stories and trouble we can dig up, and we'll get your take on things, and then we will finish it up with our friend Willie Waffle. It's gonna be fun. All right, so you ready? Let's get started. So a couple stories that really caught my eye out here as we go through everything and we take a look at it. I mean, first things first. I guess we should. I guess we should give credit where credit's due. We should give credit to Shannon Watts. Shannon Watts, you know, the gal who is the Moms Demand Action founder. She's part of the Every Town for Gun Safety USA, all that kind of stuff. She is out there, you know, pumping the pump for the anti-gun crowd, trying to take away your rights and to chastise you for being to chastise you for being so greedy and so entitled that you would want to and care about your you would want and care about your Second Amendment rights over everything else. That she just can't believe the greed.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me. I just don't fathom it.
Yes, that's Shannon Watts. I mean, that wasn't Shannon Watts, but it's the same kind of feeling, right? So she's done a good thing. She has done a good thing. She, was crowing, all just excited and tweeting about how she single-handedly was able to get country singer Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town, removed from the rotation on country music television. And so credit where credit's due. Good job, Shannon. You did a good job. Unfortunately, there are unintended consequences for that kind of stuff. And the only reason that I am praising her because it has led to something, well, that she probably did not anticipate and probably does not like more than anything else. Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town, which came out, by the way, back in May to very, very little fanfare. It was just a release, just out on there. That song has now, which by the way, has lyrics in the song and imagery about, we're going to keep our guns free. And if you come for our guns, you try that in a small town kind of thing. No promotion of violence, no promotion of racism and all these other things that he's been accused of. That song is now number one in the country, number one on the Billboard chart, not just the country charts. It is number one on Billboard's Hot 100 chart of covering all genres of music. The Hot 100 it's every song from every genre combined together. And so not only is he number one in the country billboards, he's also number one in the 100 Billboard, rounding out the top three charts of country hits with like Last Night by Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs' Fast Car. The whole thing is just, it's just the irony of this whole thing is so delicious. So delicious. The fact that they immediately brought this to the attention, and I guess you know what I should do, because last week we talked about it, right? Try that in a small town, Jason Aldean. Last week we talked about how I had looked at the video on I think it was Wednesday, and it was at 16 million views. And then we talked about it on Friday and it was at 18 million views. Today, this thing was released 3 weeks ago. 1 week, 25 million views. 25 million views on YouTube. So that's up, another 6 million views, another 7 million views from last week. And now Jason Aldean is kind of tired of playing nice. He has actually filed a lawsuit against The View and Whoopi Goldberg particularly for a bunch of defamatory and slanderous things that they said on the show. They're going to try and couch it all under the guise of free speech, of course. But he served them with a lawsuit on top of all that. So this guy gets his cake, eats it too, gets to sue Whoopi and The View on top of that. And here we are. Now, this song probably would not have become the hit that it is if all those, the Shannon Watts of the world hadn't gotten all up in their grill and tried to cancel it. Again, now I haven't looked again this week, but last week I told you that I actually went through the first, 15 pages of comments on the official YouTube video for this song. And it was people from every walk of life, every political spectrum, every, sexuality spectrum. I mean, it was just, my favorite one was a guy who was like, I'm a liberal gay man in an urban city, and I think this song is fantastic, and I don't think it says what they say it says, that it's racist and everything else. And it was just like everybody was coming out with things like that. That I think people are starting to get a feel for the BS and the bourgeois that these people are pushing at every level. I think they're starting to get a feel for that. I think that people are starting to suss it out and go, that's not, I'm not just going to believe you because you say it. Or it seems like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that would have just been the norm, that because the talking heads on their side of the political spectrum said it, that it of course must be no need to check the sources or check the references, that of course they must be right. But more and more, it's like people are like listening for themselves. Now, I'm kind of hopeful. Maybe this is the catalyst for some of that kind of change, where just because somebody said it's easier to get a gun than it is to get a library book. That was Obama, by the way. He said that. And again, the public found that out during the pandemic, that it was not nearly as easy to get a gun as it was to get a library book. I think, during the pandemic, when the police were in trouble and it was the George Floyd thing and people were feeling unsafe and they're like, oh, I think I need to get it. I mean, they quietly, probably a lot of these folks who were liberals or like, who had been maybe anti-gun in the past were now like quietly like, I think maybe I need to get a gun for self-defense in my family. And then they went down there and they found out that you just didn't walk in and buy one. You couldn't just dial up, the internet and just have one shipped right to your house quietly. They figured out that you had to go in, you had reams of paperwork, you had, in some cases, waiting periods or training things or licensures and everything else. And they figured out that all that was a lie. And so maybe, just maybe, this is another example of people taking a look at this, hearing what the talking heads were saying. Oh, this is so racist and hate-filled and screed. And what was the other thing? It's a shameful vision of gun extremism and vigilantism. That's one of the Tennessee Democratic reps said that. It's a shameful vision of gun extremism and vigilantism that calls for racist violence. Well, I've watched the whole video. I've read the lyrics. I've done everything else. It does nothing like any of that. But, hey, you see what you see, right? But I think that this may be kind of the turning point, maybe for parts of America where people are just not taking things at face value, where a talking head says something and they don't just all nod their heads and go, yes, it must be true. People are actually taking the time out to go listen for their own damn selves. 25 million views, number one across all the Billboard things and everything else. It is absolutely crazy, but it's good. It's good. So I guess that's the first thing for today. Was the good news is that Shannon Watts was kind enough to help out Jason Aldean. And we cannot complain. We cannot complain at all about that right now. All right. We are going to be jumping to break here, and we're going to continue in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. David Roberts is going to be our guest up next. We'll return in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Back with more on Firearms Friday.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, hold on a second. I got to get a hold of the of my guest to see where they're at. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hey, Dave. Okay. We're all ready. Sorry about that. Working through a few technical difficulties. We got everything all squared away here. David Roberts with the Alaska Shooting Specialties, Alaska Airguns, is in the green room right now. Let's go over there. We'll test his audio real quick to make sure everything's good for when we jump into this. Good morning, David. How are you?
Just fine. How are you doing this morning, sir?
You know, no complaints, no complaints. It's a beautiful day in paradise. We're ready to go. So you sound good. We're going to be jumping into this in just a second. So I'm going to put you back in the green room for about just about a minute here real quick as we get this all squared away and we get things caught up and ready to go. Happy birthday, Harold. I see that it's your birthday. He's out there like, oh, it's your birthday. All right. Need coffee and bear bacon, says Eskimo Libertarian. Never had bear bacon, but I would try anything once. It has bacon in it. Let's just try that one more time. All right. We're about Okay, we're coming out of this here in just a hot minute and getting things ready to go. I'm trying to read back into the chat room to see what everybody's talked about. Okay. Love some of those crazy 50 caliber air rifles, just not sure how I'm going to pack out a scuba tank into the bush for hunting. I don't think that's necessarily necessary, Anthony, but I'm sure David can give us some answers on that. I'm going through here. The Streisand effect. The good old Streisand effect. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Here we go.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
If we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Got to push the button again. Well, howdy. Good morning and welcome back to the program. It is the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this your favorite radio station and or FM translator. We're continuing hour one today of Firearms Friday, and we're going to dive into a commentary and a discussion on air guns, which, again, this is an old time technology that has just made leaps and bounds in the last few years. I mean, the air rifle goes all the way back to the Lewis and Clark expedition. That's how long that they've been making air rifles. But today, the air rifle, it's not your daddy's air rifle. Let's just put it that way. To get us the information and to talk a little bit about it, we've got air gun expert from Alaska Airguns and Alaska Shooting Specialties. David Roberts joins us this morning to discuss this, and we join him right now to get the rundown on all this stuff. Good morning, David. How are you this morning, my friend?
Good morning, Mr. Dukes. I am doing just fine. How about yourself?
No problem. No problem. I'm excited about this. This has been a topic that I've been wanting to tackle for quite a while. And I think that this is a good time to do it. Now, most people don't realize a couple things. They don't realize that there's that air guns have become as powerful, as technologically advanced as they have, and everything else. But they also don't realize that there's, I think, air gun dealers in Alaska. People are really not paying attention to that. And then I want to get into it in a little bit, kind of the whole aspect of how you can use them in hunting. But let's talk about the air rifle today, as opposed to the air rifles of yesteryear. I mean, things have changed quite a lot in that category. Am I right?
Similar to Lewis and Clark, that was the motivation for the PCP rifle. The PCP rifle is an air gun that is filled up and can be shot multiple times when you're out in the woods. This gentleman that mentioned earlier, how he can't see going into the woods with an air gun and an air tank to fill it up. Well, once he fills it up, he's already got 3 to 5 deadly shots out of the gun, depending on what he picks. Then there is something called a pony bottle, which is smaller than probably 4 boxes of ammo in size, that can be put in a backpack that will top off a gun about 2 times. Very simple, very easy. I have a friend going over and taking some black buck here in a little bit. I don't know, about 5 or 10 days, I guess, before the season opens up. And he's going to be taking the first black buck and getting it into SCI, because anything shot in Alaska today, let it be the black bucks and caribou that I got permission from the state of Alaska to add into law, them to be able to be shot for an air gun 357 on up, because I had a gentleman call me from Kodiak, and I won't mention names. I don't have his name, actually. He said he's been subsisting on a 357 .357 caliber air gun, which is one of the cheaper air guns, is Benjamin Marauder. He's been subsisting, or no, I'm sorry, Benjamin Bulldog, and he's been subsisting his family now for 7 years. And all I was doing is trying to make this a rich man's sport. And that's not what I'm after. What I'm after is getting all species of animals in the state of Alaska covered by air guns. So, you go out there and you take a world record size animal and you want to go in the SCI book or anything like that, you are not going to be able to do it unless it is already been passed and legalized.
Right. And you've worked, and I guess we'll get right into the hunting aspect of this. You worked long and hard to get to help and work and push legislation that allows Alaskans to hunt some wildlife with air rifles, and that's an ongoing struggle, right? So what is the bill that you worked on and got and pushed through, and what does it allow us to do, and what work is there still to do with hunting with air rifles here in Alaska?
Well, it's not so much a bill as it is passed a law. So it's put in writing under the Parks and Wildlife regulations under what guns can be used and what can't be used. The struggle was, well, it wasn't much of a struggle. Once I got Doug Vincent Lang and Eddie Grasser out here to my property to shoot these air guns, they were just, this is not a pun, they were literally blown away. They could not perceive or imagine the power of these guns and how consistent they were at 100 to 200 yards, depending on the gun. Eddie had a disease at the time, and he hadn't hunted for years, and he hadn't been able to shoot a rifle for years. But I had one already on a Strybog standing up. One of the smaller guns, standing up and pointed down range. And I said, "Here, shoot this." And he said, "I can't." And I said, "Yeah, you can. Just pull this lever back." And he pulled the lever back. And I said, "Pull the trigger." And he pulled the trigger, and the bullseye, bam, 100 yards. And he was smiling ear to ear. He couldn't believe it. And a 1 hour meeting turned out to be an 8 hour meeting. So, what the leaps we're making today is I'm working. Eddie has retired, and I'm working with another gentleman right now. I don't have it in front of me. I did yesterday. I believe his first name is Scott, but I'm working with him right now to get all of the species in the state of Alaska to be covered under air guns. So we are able to hunt air guns. Matter of fact, I do have his name sitting here under all this paperwork. It's Scott, and his last name spelled Ruan. And if you want to see air guns in Alaska, that would be a gentleman to contact. Don't bombard him with information, but kindly send him an email or something like that, and he's already on board with it. And it looks like 2025 we will have all species covered.
What's currently covered right now, David? What species are currently covered right now by air guns, air rifles, and what are the caliber restrictions for those things? So that, okay. I'm assuming there's caliber restrictions on but what is covered now and what is legal?
Okay, what has been legal, and has been legal for years, is any animal up to the size of a coyote. Okay, so you could shoot any animal up to the size of coyote, vermin, squirrels, etc. Stuff we don't usually go out and eat. We don't have pigs here in Alaska, so that's nothing to worry about, and we don't have turkey per se for just anybody to go hunt. But what has opened up is I have opened it up to anything up to the size of a caribou now. So that has been put in place. Black-tailed deer and caribou with a .357 caliber rifle or greater. that's enough power to humanely kill the animal. I've seen it. It is I work closely with Mr. Hollow Point. I work closely with a lot of people in the industry, and we put a lot of thought to this. And when we're going after big game, we are going to be looking for 457 or greater. That's just because we don't want somebody to go out there with a 357 and shoot a brown bear and think that they're going to get away while they piss a brown bear off, and all of a sudden we just find their guns and boots.
Exactly.
Exactly. And even if they're going to shoot a brown bear anyway with the 72 calibers that put out 1,500 foot-pounds. From 1,500, they've declared it from 15 to 1,900 foot-pounds of energy at anywhere from 1,200 to 1,600 feet per second.
For a 72 caliber, for a 72 caliber slug.
Yeah, and that's an 850 grain slug.
Good Lord. It's like carrying around your own personal freight train.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and so this is up to a caribou now, with calibers 357 or greater. And you guys are looking at, again, working with the Department of Fish and Game and to try and make this for larger animals. So we're talking moose, bear, etc., but with larger calibers as well. And you think that this is going to be in effect here in the next year or so?
I do believe it will be. I believe the board is for it. Last I heard, I do believe that Scott is 100% on board with this. I know a few people on the panel, and they're on board with it. So I wouldn't see why they don't pass it. I mean, we are behind times like normal. We're kind of catching up to the lower 48. Most of the states in the lower 48 kind of surpass us in technology, and they've already put it in place. You know, they've already killed moose with an air gun, but they have not killed a moose in Alaska with an air gun, which would go into the SCI book. They have not killed a bear in Alaska, which would go into the SCI book. They have not killed a caribou yet that qualifies to go into the SCI book. So there's, if you're a supporter of the Second Amendment and SCI, which is Sierra International, they are a strong Second Amendment supporting organization, and they are backed by a lot of powerful people. And you know, with their support, you know, you'll see things coming aboard. They have already gone to not Alaska. They've already gone to Africa, and they've already hunted Cape buffalo with what I considered a underpowered air gun.
Right.
And I showed you the video yesterday, right?
I saw the video. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, here is a Cape buffalo, which is, I mean, these things are huge. He shoots it one time with a 50 caliber air rifle. It runs to a tree a few feet away, turns, stops. Within about 30 seconds, it basically just falls over and dies right on the spot. Which, I mean, for an animal that size with an air gun, is just amazing. And I'm happy to see that we're getting these kind of regulations put through and promulgated. And we definitely want to be working to allow this. Air guns are just an amazing technology. And I want to talk about that here in just a second. We got to take a break. So we're going to go back and talk about the technologies that we now have today versus what it was just a few years ago and more. David Roberts with Alaska Shooting Specialties is with us, Alaska Airguns. You can find him on Facebook. We'll get out some websites and stuff like that. He's also got a YouTube channel if you want to go check out his YouTube channel. We're gonna come on in and we'll continue this discussion.
Come give us a shot.
Yep, we'll continue this discussion in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show continues. Your home for common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. It is Firearms Friday.
off, Michael.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Dukes Show.
Okay, we're in the break right now. David Roberts, our guest here on the program. You were talking about the little pony bottles. I mean, they're not much bigger than a large water bottle or a small fire extinguisher, right? I mean, they're pretty tiny, and you can get a couple charges out of them.
I don't know if people can see, but see this water jug I carry right here? It's smaller than this.
Smaller than that, yeah.
So
they're pretty. Yeah, so you can get some recharges out in the field. You don't have to be carrying a scuba tank or an air compressor with you on your way out in the field, and that's for sure. Willie said, "These are not firearms. Don't waste our Firearms Friday on air guns." Come on, Willie. These are, no, they're not fire guns. They're air guns, but it's all about guns for me. I don't care if it's fire or air or laser beams. If it's guns, that's what I want to talk about on Firearms Friday. And air gun technology, we're going to get into this in the next segment. But what fascinates me is that the air gun technology is so, it has been with us for so long, and yet it's just quiet. What do you got there? What's that? That's what was that, David?
This thing here is a moderator. Okay.
A moderator.
And you can own this without going to the ATF. Yeah, you can own this without going to the ATF. This is made by Donnie FL. And essentially, this gun right here, I'm talking technology. It's an Air Force 457. It's my gun, and it's been customized. It's not very big. It's very light in comparison. And this moderator goes right on the front of the gun. And once you shoot this without a moderator, you're going to come out of your boots, because it doesn't give you much of recoil, but it definitely makes a hell of a blast. And with the moderator being on it, that screws on the front. Let's just say that the animal won't know you've even taken a shot.
Right. So this is analogous to to what a suppressor is to a firearm, a moderator is to an air gun. So kind of a similar type thing. It reduces the sound output when you're firing it. Not that air guns are, very generally speaking, very loud. They're pretty quiet overall for the most part to begin with. That just makes them a lot quieter.
Yeah, the big bore guns are pretty. I would equate those to a 12 gauge shotgun. The big bores, the 50 calibers, the 58 calibers, the 70 calibers, those go up to about a 12 gauge shotgun in report in decibel, 110 somewhere in decibel, and we can bring them down into the 70s, which I think is incredible. One great thing is with the air. This gentleman said, "This is Air Gun Friday. Let's talk about guns." I offer him to come to my place anytime and let me give him a tour of some of these guns, and let me change his mind. I had a UPS driver that delivered to me for 4 years that said he would not touch an air gun. And another gentleman by the name of Kelly Maxner, and we may all know him. He puts on one of the gun shows and works for one of the gun companies here in Alaska. He's a gun aficionado, and he would not shoot an air gun. When he fired the 72 caliber, he had the biggest grin on his face. He just about, I was surprised he didn't have to go to the bathroom and clean his shorts out.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. The technology, this is not your daddy's air gun. This is not, the old pellet gun that you used to run around in the woods with, or that your grandfather had. We're talking about, again, a 72 caliber, 800 grain slug traveling, 1,800 feet per second. This is a real serious deal. And again, the benefit is, you don't have to go to Uncle Sam and beg permission to buy it. You don't have to fill out a ton of paperwork. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. You, again, can put a moderator on it to keep it even quieter if you want to shoot in your backyard so you're not disturbing your neighbors. I mean, there's just so many advantages, and they've got some of the and we'll talk about this here in a second. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I mean, you want bullpup designs, you want standard designs, you want all these. They've got them all. They are all out there.
Super light, but we do not want to condone shooting the larger bore guns in the backyard. That's one thing we want, not unless you have a professional backstop.
Yeah, backstop.
Because we're talking about something that'll go through a fence, through a tree, in a car, and kill somebody on the other side.
No, but we're always talking about gun safety as far as. Yeah, no, exactly. All right, so we're going to continue here with David in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show continues. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Please like and share, like and follow. Let's get more folks involved in this conversation and share this show out to your friends who may have some doubts about air guns. Let's try and demystify some of that and get some real good information here from David as we continue on. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. It's Firearms Friday. Here we go.
Mike.
Okay. Welcome back to the program. It is Firearms Friday. Your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature, talking about guns and firearms. And today we're talking about air guns. Joining us today from Alaska Airguns is David Roberts. He is a air gun professional up here in Wasilla. He's just outside of Houston there, out by the fireworks stands. He's got his shop out there. He's got his own little private range where he goes out and can show you all about this. If you want to get an education on air guns up close and personal, you need to stop by and see David, give him a call and set up an appointment and come out and take a look at it, because it is, I was out there a couple weeks ago, and what an amazing setup. But again, let's dive into the technology of this for just a minute, David, because I think people think air guns and they're just like, again, they're thinking about their dad's pellet gun. They're thinking about the little Benjamin pellet pistol, air pistol that they had when they were a kid. And the technology has come so far and so fast. I mean, we've got semi-automatic and full automatic, quite honestly, pellet guns from like Hatsan and things like that, which I got a chance to shoot. That's a hoot. Holy cow, that's a lot of fun. But the technology, everything from something as small as, of course, 177 is the smallest caliber, all the way up to 72 caliber and everything in between. And you've got a plethora of guns there that are for just that, for plinking,
shotgun,
target shooting, for fun, all the way up to the high caliber, rifles for hunting, air rifles for hunting and things like that. This technology has come a long, long way.
Shotguns as well, we didn't mention. We have double barrel shotguns. You can load your own ammo, or you can buy the ammo already loaded for ptarmigan hunting. Anything that you would hunt with your 410 gauge shotgun, you can hunt with air guns. I actually have a video on one of my sites where I was in a good mood, and we just held one of the first annual Roundup barbecues and air gun get-togethers last year, where we had over 300 people show up, and we gave away thousands of dollars in gifts and prizes. And people seemed to be more in line for their belly than they were for the guns. So we were not taking and selling them right then and there, which we probably should have taken advantage of that at that time. But we'll probably do one next year, just depending on how business goes. Now, Michael had mentioned air gun companies, and I wanted to mention that I am the only air gun company in Alaska. I'm the only distributor.
Only dealer in Alaska.
Correct. And I have been fighting for us on this issue for 5 years now. And I have been learning everything I can for the past 5 years. So, I mean, what I'd like to say is get off the couch, stop ordering off the internet and paying your shipment fees here. I match or beat prices here in Alaska, and I'd like to ask you to support our local small business.
Right.
Let's get into the technology portion of it. The technology is somewhat the same. I don't know what your seers can see. So what we have here, I have in my hand is a 45 caliber air gun, and it has a chamber in the back of it. Very small chamber,
right,
about the size of a tall boy beer.
Yeah, right.
Soda can, beer can, however. 1 liter about. Right. And it's carbon fiber. And this thing will hold enough PSI. We're talking about 3,000 PSI that goes in here, which we have newer ones that hold 4,500 PSI. This one here will get you at least 3 deadly shots, 6 shots in a bind. And you got a bullet flying at 1,500 plus feet per second. 1,500 feet per second plus 1,200 foot-pounds of knockdown energy.
Right, in a 45 caliber charge.
In a 45 caliber cartridge. Now, see, what the deal is these guns are meant, and the technology has gone with the research Mr. Hollopoint has done, is the bullets are made to enter and expand immediately and dump all of its energy within the first 13 to 16 inches of the animal. It does not come out the other side of the animal. You shoot a 300 Magnum that's got 2,000 or 3,000 foot-pounds of energy. It goes in the animal and goes out the other side of the animal. You got 1,500 or 2,000 foot-pounds of energy that you just lost because it went through the animal. So these air guns are actually in lethality and what they do when they enter an animal. I have seen it. I've seen carvings. I've seen forensics of it. They do more damage than some of the big bore rifles,
right,
when they go into the animal.
And
not to say, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the technology is, it could be, you have bolt action air rifles, you have semi-auto air rifles. As I said before, you have full auto air rifles, all different types of configurations. What you have there for at 3,000 pounds, 3,000, 4,000 pounds, that's of pressure. That's kind of the standard range for most of these rifles. Is that what most of these rifles use?
No. That 3,000 pounds, I was using examples of 300 Magnums and 30-06s and
right. Pressure. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about in the tanks. You were talking about that tank held 3,000.
Oh, yeah. 3,000 pounds is
standard.
Standard. Yeah. 3,000 pounds is standard and going up.
And people, I'm sure, are going to ask, if I buy an air gun, because you and I talked about this before, if I'm going to buy an air gun and use it, do I have to have my own scuba tank? Do I have to have a compressor? What is it? How does that work if I want to reload, so to speak, my air rifle? What does that take to do? How do you do that?
Well, there's many ways of doing that. And one of the ways is buying a large air bottle or even a smaller air bottle. With me, if you buy an air bottle from my company, I charge it for you as long as you want to come and see my ugly face. That would cover you a whole hunting trip, a 72 cubic foot air bottle. We now have affordable electronic AC/DC pumps that you can take out to the field with you. We have had bicycle pumps, but we have technology has caught up on them where they're triple phase and quad phase, where it's much easier to pump your gun up than you wouldn't have to be a triathlon, runner.
2 hours pumping to get my gun pump back up. It's not that way anymore.
Not that way. And, Lewis and Clark, it was really interesting how they had their gun. And it was a big gun. I mean, we're talking about a gun And what's funny is their gun was a 72 caliber gun as well, and it shot a round bullet. And they pumped their gun up with a bellows type of pumping, and it had a pig ball sack on the bottom of it that kind of tapped into it, and that's what got pumped up for the air. And so I can envision them having a horse stomping on this bellows, pushing it up to pressure. And they survived. They subsided throughout the United States off of that gun only.
Right.
And they were attacked by multiple Indian groups thinking that was a magic stick and not like a gun. They thought they already knew a little bit about guns, but this thing running off of air and doing the deadly damage it did, they were just completely amazed by it.
Yeah. No, the technology from Lewis and Clark days, even from your grandfather's days to today, is an amazing change. We're down to the last couple minutes here. And one thing we talked about in the break that we didn't talk about here on the radio was these things now also come with moderators, which is our sound deadeners. So even though they're mostly quiet, they can be even quieter if you buy a moderator for them as well. So again, you can shoot the small calibers in your backyard up against a berm or something and be quiet about it, not bother your neighbors. Or when you're out hunting, the animal doesn't even know you were there, kind of thing. So there's all kinds of things. I recommend that you go out and see David at his place out in Houston, out behind the fireworks stands there. David, how do folks find you? How do they get a hold of you? What do they do to reach out to you to get this information and come out and see what you have to
man. Call me on my business line, 907-315-5720. That's 315-5720. Call me. I can give you directions, but it's so easy to find my place. As soon as you pass Big Lake Road, you see the fireworks stands.
Yep.
And as soon as you pass the fireworks stand, I am the first left. No more than 100 yards past the fireworks stands, there's a road called Luray, and it's partly paved, and then it turns into dirt. You take a left there, and then you take immediate left, and you come down into my compound. I call it a compound because I'm in a unique situation.
Yeah. David Roberts is our guest, the Michael Duke Show. Sorry, David, we were coming up against the hard break there. And, of course, you've got a Facebook page. You've got a YouTube channel for folks who want to go out and see some stuff that you've put out there as well. I love this. I think this would be I think this is such a cool thing. And the price range. Somebody asked, what are the price ranges? I mean, the cheapest to the most expensive. I know you've got some big doggy ones there that are, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you also have some more reasonable ones, right, as well. I mean,
you don't have any $100,000 ones that I know of yet. That would set me up.
Thousands of dollars is what I said, but
But the target ones that they shoot at 1,000, believe it or not, they shoot these at 1,000 yards. They shoot these at 1,000 yards, and they have a competition every year to hit a 24-inch plate at 1,000 yards. I have not checked much into that. They use the Air Force type guns to shoot that. What I wanted to do before I lose this train of thought is I wanted to tell everybody that, listen, the the NICS and FBI and all ATF, of the political ATF, etc., are all trying to get their hands into air guns, and they're trying to moderate them. They're trying to regulate them. They're trying to get you to fill out a 4473. It's time to buy these guns. Get these guns before the government gets their hands on them. They're going to make it difficult. They've already made it difficult on my friend from Donnie. Donnie FL sells the moderators. They have now shut him down and said he can't do business until they do a ruling on his moderators, because they consider them suppressors that can be changed over. So they're attacking us. They're attacking us from all angles. Another thing I wanted to do is I wanted to give you guys some real quick breakdowns on things. We want to talk about the Sporting Association, Airgun Sporting Association. They are big advocates of us. Go to their website. You will find they are a 501c6 company. They are not out to make any money. They're just out to promote air guns. They have the passion like I do. They're in Washington legislation and legalization of all over everywhere as well. I have a bunch of notes we haven't covered, but I mean, we can do that another time. But the best thing to do is come out and see me. You get a unique experience. I do not charge you a cent to come and see me. I don't charge you a cent to shoot a bullet down range.
Right.
On the internet, you can read all you want about these guns and look at all you want about these guns, but you don't get the didactic experience that you get with me and my knowledge and me being here 100% of the time to take care of you as a customer.
Yeah. This is it can be a really reasonable sport. I mean, you've got rifles as low as far as dollar figures, $200, $300, $400,
$300 on up.
$300 on up. And I know you've got the fancy one up there, the bullpup. We didn't talk about that, but you've got that bullpup air rifle that looks like the Stormtrooper gun. That's a couple $1,000, right? I mean, that's
one of 20. That's one of 25. It's an Air Venturi Avenger, and it's one of 25 that they gave to me because I guess they felt sorry for me. One had sold in Japan for $20,000.
$20,000, yeah.
Now, I don't know how to advertise in Japan, or I would. I am willing to take offers on this gun. It has never been fired. It's been boxed. It's been hung up the whole time. And if you want a gun that looks like a Stormtrooper gun, this gun looks identical to a Stormtrooper gun bullpup.
Yeah. And you do all the big brand names. Somebody just said Hatsan. He does Hatsan. I shot his Hatsan full auto. That was a lot.
The Blitz.
That's right. The Hatsan Blitz. You do Air Force. You do all the major brand names, and you're a dealer for them. And you've got, again, there's a whole wall of guns there that you can come and check out and take a look at. And again, you can get a 50 caliber air rifle that shoots 50 caliber slugs, it shoots birdshot, it shoots everything. I mean, there are just so many different things that you could do.
AEA FX is a gun you're going to be spending $2,000 or $3,000 on once you're done, but it is the elite of guns, and you can get it in 35 caliber and you can use it to hunt with as well. But this is a gun made to shoot the size of your dime. It'll shoot a size of a dime or tip of your pinky hole, a 10-round group at 100 yards.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing stuff. So go give David a call, 907-351-5720 if you want to check it out. Make an appointment with him. Go out there and see what he's got. You must see it to believe it. He's right. You can go look on the internet all day long and buy stuff off the internet, but if you want to go feel it, look at it, get some knowledge, David's the guy to talk to. David Roberts, Alaska Airguns. David, thank you so much for coming on board today. We will have you back on because, again, this is a deeper topic and we need to get a little bit more into this. But thank you for coming on today and being part of it with us. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And it's 315-5720.
Isn't that what I said? It's 315. Okay, well, 907-315-5720. Okay. All right. I typed the wrong there. Yep, I typed the wrong number in. There you go. So I'll put that number in the chat room. I just put the corrected number in the chat room, 315-5720. Thanks, David. Appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you. Hey, and come on out. We get new things all the time that will excite you. I'm telling you.
It's good stuff. I spent an afternoon out there a couple of weeks ago, and it was definitely worth the time. Thank you so much, David. I got to go. Appreciate you coming on board and joining us today. David Roberts from Alaska Airguns. All right, we're coming up on the break. Here we go, jumping back into it. Hour 2 of the Michael Duke Show is dead ahead. Let's get this thing going on. Back with more right after this.
Whoa, buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday. Welcome back to the program, hour 2 of the big radio broadcast, and I'm almost giddy. That was so much fun to talk about. And I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons why it was so much fun for me is because I had gone out and spent a little time with David out at his shop in Houston. I'd gone out to the range. I got a chance to shoot some of the different air guns that he had there. And I got to be honest, impressive, absolutely impressive to be able to see something like that where the technology has just come so far. It's just mind-boggling. And with some of these guns that are already fairly quiet, I mean, they don't even require. They're so the audible on some of these are so low it doesn't even require hearing protection. Then you put the moderator on top of it, and all of a sudden it's a lot of fun, man. It is so much fun to be able to go out there and do stuff like that and shoot some of these guns. It's pretty amazing. But if you want to get more information or you want to find out more about it, I recommend that you call David. And for those of you who are just joining us, we were talking with David Roberts from Alaska Airguns. He's the only certified air gun dealer in the state. And it was amazing. But you can give David a call at 907-315-5720, 907-315-5720, or just look up Alaska Specialty Shooting, Alaska Shooting Specialties on Facebook, Alaska Shooting Specialties on Facebook. And Jeannie says, I can't believe you went on a field trip and didn't invite your 6 o'clockers. Maybe that would be a fun thing to do. Maybe we'll do a Common Sense Corps thing where we get all the Common Sense Corps members out there and we go shoot some air rifles or something at David's place, and you guys can all see it for yourself. It is just a lot of fun. So much fun. And again, quiet, and up until now, free from government regulation, which just makes me happy. I'm just going to say that. It just makes me happy when it's free from government regulation. That's for sure. But yeah, maybe that's something we should put on for like a Common Sense Corps field trip for those that want to go, make their way down to Houston, and just we'll go out and have an afternoon of shooting and camaraderie and just plain old fun. It would be good. All right. So hour 2 of the big radio broadcast today. And of course, we're going to finish up the show this morning with Willie Waffle. We're going to do our weekend movie review. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. And we're going to get into that. But right now we're just got a few stories that I want to talk about, a few more firearm stories. I spent an hour yesterday with GCI trying to get the phones unkerfiddled, and they were kind of working, but not really, as far as the numbers and stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines, but not for my normal number. So we're going to do the whole alternative number again for those of you who want to call into the show this morning for gun Q&A. And that number is 319-527-3864. 319 527-3864. And that's the number to call if you want to call into the show. We're going to launch the phone lines right now and let everybody know that you can call in. Again, I'm working on getting my Alaska number back, but it's challenging. Let's just put it there. It's challenging. These poor guys, man. I do not know what's going on. But we're gonna be all squared away. But the phone lines are now open. Again, the number to call is 319-527-3864 is the call-in number. So if you want to call in this morning, feel free to do so. And we'll ask questions or talk or whatever. It's all about gun stuff today. So it's gun Q&A for the rest of the time here before we get into Waffle. So it'll be good stuff. Yeah, this, David and I were talking again yesterday, and he pointed me to this video, which I hadn't seen before, of a guy taking down a Cape Buffalo with a 50 caliber air rifle, one shot. And so impressive, just so impressive, what this technology can do. And it's good. I've wanted to talk about this for quite a while. We've got a couple people in the chat room that are big air gun aficionados, and they've been telling us a lot and educating us a lot. And then I went out and saw David, and there's a lot of good stuff that you could figure out there. Okay. All right. Let's head on over to some of the headlines and see what you guys have to say about some of the different things that are going on. This is let's see, do I have enough time to do that? Yeah. I got a couple other things. So let's talk for just a second about, last week we talked about New Zealand doxing all of the gun owners on the gun registry list, where they were sending out people's names and information. And we're, again, just another reason why you couldn't possibly, trust the government is going to be the only arbiter of all this information and that they can be trustworthy. But right now, Europeans are pushing back against. We keep hearing about how great it is in Europe. Well, there's people out there that are like, nope, we need to be able to loosen up some of these gun regulations. Civilian gun ownership can make authoritarians drift very difficult because it gives people the ability to resist, says Andrea Favreau to Euronews. He's part of Firearms United, a pan-European firearms lobby, which claims to bring together more than 100 million law-abiding gun owners in the region. It's a movement which wants to loosen gun control laws in Europe's, bringing them de facto more into line with U.S. gun laws. It's pretty tough when our gun laws are what people are aspiring to, because they want to be a little more free. Meanwhile, we here in the United States are like, we need to take some of these laws off the books because this is crazy. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on. We saw the same thing in England. I still remember the man on the street interview. There was a protest in England here probably 15 years ago where the Britons were marching in the streets to get back some of their gun rights that had been lost. And one of the guys very plainly said in an on-the-street interview, basically said, to you Americans, I just say one thing: don't give up your rights, because it's nearly impossible to get them back, essentially, is what I'm paraphrasing what he said. But he basically said, don't give up your rights, because you can't get them back when it's there. So Europe is now in the struggle with some people who basically want to, loosen the gun restrictions and get some of those rights back. Then you go to what everybody holds up as the shining example on the Hill, right? As far as, this is what we need. We need this in America. And that, of course, is Australian-style gun control. American gun controllers love to cite Australia as the more civilized country. They're a more civilized country than we are, where people voluntarily turned in their guns after the government demanded that they do so. Of course, what's ironic about that is that it's turned out, we figured this out over the last 20 years, that gun buyback, how civilized they were by just willingly turning over their guns, turns out wasn't nearly as complete as they thought it was. In fact, by some estimates now, they figure that they may have only collected about half of the lawful guns in the country, that people were like, nope. Now, remember, Australia was populated by criminals, right? I mean, that I'm not saying today, but that's kind of that mindset, that freedom. I mean, Australia would be probably one of those countries that would be most akin to America as far as that anti-authoritarian, liberty-minded freedom mindset. Like, nope, you cute, nope. So I can understand why maybe half of the people didn't participate in the gun buyback. But you know what? That's what happens. They did all this kind of stuff, and they confiscated all the guns. They removed almost 1 million guns from the hands of the people. But guess who didn't turn their guns in? Guess one of the groups that didn't turn their guns in. It target gangs. Gangs didn't, just as a sneak peek, gangs didn't turn their guns in. Criminals didn't turn their guns in. There's been a spree of shootings in Melbourne's northern suburbs. 3 men are shot, 2 others injured during a single night of violence. If it's insane. 3 men hospitalized with gunshot wounds following incidents in northern Melbourne. 3 men remain on the run. 3 men were confirmed to have been shot, and 2 others suffered other injuries. The crime spree began in Meadow Heights at about 9:45 p.m. on Saturday when 3 masked men entered a property. After entering the property, an altercation took place between the intruders and the occupants. A 29-year-old man was shot in the leg and rushed to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Neighbors told 7 News that they heard swearing before a shot was fired. He said, I heard a lot of banging on the door and cussing. About 3 hours later, police attended an incident 10 minutes away on reports of gunshot. 3 men were found injured at that address. It's Australia, man. This couldn't possibly happen in Australia. This is a hold, and those shootings aren't linked. They haven't found any link between the shootings. So they got 2 separate instances of firearms violence. That is going on out there. It's insane. Thomas Jefferson's old saying about firearms fits perfectly in this niche. Laws that forbid the carries of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crime. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man. And Australia is learning this, to just in a big way. Compared to the United States, Australia has had lower levels of violence with or without firearms for a long time. Despite the claims of the gun control crowd, Australian gun control pretty much had no effect at all in the country. That already had a low propensity for violence. An old article from the Foundation for Economic Education states that, quote, empirical evidence shows that the rate of mass shooting incidents in Australia and its neighbor New Zealand, a socioeconomically similar country, did not significantly before or after the buyback program, did not alter, did not differ. Despite New Zealand retaining civilian ownership of firearms banned in Australia in 1996, there was essentially no difference. This casts doubt on the claims that Australia's lack of mass shootings is a result of the 1996 gun control measure. Australia is code for gun confiscation. That's what anybody says. Anybody starts talking about Australian-style gun control, you could point to the stories about the police busting in places like Melbourne, full metal shops, machine shops where they were actually criminal enterprises were mass manufacturing machine guns and machine pistols and all this kind of stuff. Again, just proving that criminals are going to break the law no matter what. And it's the disarmed citizens are the ones that have to pay the price for that. So anyway, I just had to every time I see articles like this, I have to chuckle. Europe is now asking for their gun rights back. Big groups in Europe, 100 million people in Europe, and Australia. Hey, don't worry about us. We'd like to get those back too. All right, we got more coming up. Don't go anywhere. Phone lines are open, 319-527-3827. If you want to sound off, 319-527-3827. 888-866-7867. Back with more. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Where were we? Okay. Did you see that clip of the Prime Minister of New Zealand about the COVID? Doxing gun owners was no accident, says Brian. And I did watch that clip where the PM of New Zealand came out and said, don't listen to anybody else. We will be your only source for the truth. Don't listen to anybody that says anything different than what we said, because we will be your only source for the truth. I mean, this is bad. Having lived in Australia, says Terry, they are not more civilized. Gangs ran rampant. Well, and gangs were some of the biggest problems out there. I mean, again, it wasn't, it was 10, 12 years ago. There was a whole slew of different raids around the country in various urban areas where they were basically, gangs had figured it out. They had taken over, appropriated or coerced or just outright bought machine shops, and they were full on making mass-produced machine guns and machine pistols in these machine shops. It was a whole thing. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. USA has a rifled caliber cap of 50 caliber. Is that for firearms and air guns? The 12 gauge shotgun and fly. The 50 caliber is in the firearms. It's a 50 caliber, but as David was saying, he's got a 72 caliber air rifle that you could shoot. So yeah. Legasp. It's a complicated rule. They're learning the hard way. Shotguns are the exception. Okay, I'm going back up here to see what you guys are talking about. Something that David didn't mention, scopes and any optics must be air rifle rated. Your 300 Win Mag scope will disintegrate. Because apparently there's more vibration at the... It's hard to believe that there's more vibration from an air rifle, from a compressed air explosion, than there is from an actual chemical explosion. But I mean, Jeannie's the expert on that. I did not know that, but you have to have those things rated. Only time I ever had an optic blow up is when there was an optic on a 50 caliber rifle that I had, and I was like, the optic blew up. There was just way too much. It was a cheap optic anyway, but man, it came unstuck. About 10 rounds through that thing, and that thing just away it goes. It's just crazy. All right, what else we gonna do? Field trip. Everybody wants to do the field trip. Yes, field trip. Let's go do it. That'll be fine. Okay. The vibration is faster. Okay, so it's a faster vibration than the slow explosion of the powder charge, the faster vibration. I could see that. Terry says that she was following up on her Australia comment earlier. We were there in the 80s. That's how long it has been gang controlled. Australia's got a real gang problem, apparently. Okay. We are just about a minute away from returning here to the radio. I got a local story that I got a local story. I want to think about this from a perspective of a concealed carry permit holder, and what does that mean? And so we're going to dive into that here in just a second. Why does that keep slipping down? One of my volume controls keeps slipping. I don't know why. There we go. That better? That's better. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue. Here comes the ding for the 30-second mark. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like and share, like and follow. Do all the things. Let's get more people involved in this. It's Firearms Friday, man. Aren't you excited? I'm ecstatic. I'm absolutely freaking ecstatic. Ready to go. Here we go. Let's do it. Oh, baby. Okay, let's continue ahead here on this beautiful Firearms Friday. And I say beautiful, that's a little facetious because it's a little cloudy out. But, if this whole week has been any indicator, by noontime, it'll be bright and sunshiny and hot. So I'm not gonna knock it. Not gonna knock it. All right, let's go over to the phones. And I've got one line has called in and they are on hold. Let me make sure now they're on hold. We're going to go over there and see what they have to say, and we'll get the hot take from the Q&A. How about that? We'll start over there before I jump into my local story. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
It's Terry calling from Kodiak.
Hello, Terry. What's on your mind?
Well, speaking of guns, federal government is going to put the big guns on the island, expanding the missile launch, taking in almost 7,100 acres is what they're proposing. Taking a whole bunch of real popular beaches up is what they want to do. And a lot of people are kind of shocked that we only have until the 14th of August to comment on it.
This is down in Kodiak. They're taking up land. They're taking up land for what? For what are they supposed to be doing with it? They're putting a missile battery on it, or is it part of the rocket complex, or what is it?
More missiles. Yeah. Yeah, they're expanding the missile launch is what they want to do, and it's going to deeply impact a lot of people. Got a lot of rancher friends out there, so I'm kind of upset about it. And I was hoping people might call in and just ask that we get a 90-day comment time instead of this cutting it off the deadline on the 14th of August, because a whole bunch of people are still commercial fishing around here, and they can't probably even get the news about what's going on, let alone make comments about it.
And this is the federal government, not the Terry. This is the federal government, not the state, right? So this is a federal government. They're trying to they're trying to expand it and go. Is it going on to private property? Is it going on to public lands? Where is the lands that they're trying to take?
I don't have a lot of details on it, but at the end of the announcement that was put on our Kamai Kodiak page on Facebook, it said to email the dnr.scro.easements@alaska.gov. So sounds like
that's a DNR. That's a state DNR issue then. So maybe we should reach out to somebody at the DNR and get what the details are on this, because this is the first I'm hearing about it. Was that the first that you guys were hearing about it?
Yeah, I didn't even know about it till I think day before yesterday. Okay. And there's a number too. They gave a phone number of Jay Rokos. His name looks like Rokos, Rokos, and it's 907 area code 334-2542. I just really wanted to see him have a public hearing in Kodiak about it, where people can get in there and comment, and then just to extend the comment for the 90 days just seems reasonable.
Yeah, no, 907-334-3542. Is that what you said?
It's 334-2542.
2542. Okay. Maybe we'll see if we can give Jay a
Yeah.
call and see if we can get some information on it and have them describe it to us. That would be a good thing. All right, Terry. Well, thank you for the heads up. We appreciate it. And we'll see if we can get some folks motivated on that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for being part of the show today. Yeah, that's a little unusual. I didn't know about that. So we'll we're just going to take a note here, and I'm going to see if I can call Jay, and maybe we can get somebody on the program early next week before the deadline to try and talk about this. That's Jay at DNR Kodiak. Okay. All right. I've taken some notes. I've taken the notes. Let's move over to this story here. I only have a few minutes here to discuss. This is a story out of, the ADN has it. Must Read Alaska has it. It's a local story that happened yesterday. And it's a little troubling. And I wanted to kind of look at this as an exercise from a concealed carry standpoint, from a concealed carry holder standpoint. Because, if you see me, I'm armed. That's kind of how my life is, right? If I'm out in public, I'm armed. Well, if I'm in my house, I might be armed. You just don't even know. But if I'm in public, you can pretty much assure that I'm armed. And then I read this story and I thought, I wonder what happened, because we don't have any real details on it. But I was thinking, how would you deal with this as a concealed carry holder when you see something like this? You see the story. So a man and a child were shot yesterday at a South Anchorage Fred Meyer grocery store. Both of the injured are being treated at the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The police were called to the Fred Meyers on Abbott Road about 11:45 a.m. on reports of a shooting. Apparently, a man and a woman were outside the store with their two children, when an altercation began with a man that they did not know. So one stranger and a family. At least 2 shots were fired, and the unknown man and one of the children were shot in the upper body. So you've got the family and the man. Shots were fired. No word as to who shot what, but both the man and one of the kids were struck. So I have no idea what's going on here. The person or persons responsible for firing the shots is still be determined, according to APD. The family left the area. The father dropped off the mother and the injured child at the hospital, police said. Officers stopped the father, who was driving the SUV with the other child, near the hospital and took him into custody for questioning. The wounded man was brought to the hospital by the fire department, medics, and police. And they said multiple witnesses have called the police and provided statements. So no charges were immediately filed. They don't know exactly who did it or what. But this is one of those scenarios. So if you're thinking about scenarios as a concealed carry holder, not being part of the incident, so to speak, but I'm thinking if you walked up on the incident, this is a hard one. You don't know who is, this is kind of that nightmare scenario where you don't know who the good guys and the bad guys are, right? An active shooter, that can be determined pretty quickly, that somebody's just an active shooter randomly shooting people. But a situation like that, or you're going into a convenience store and somebody tries to rob a convenience store, that's pretty obvious. But a situation like this, where you walk in, you walk into the middle, you were walking out of Fred Meyer, somebody's having an altercation in the parking lot, and all of a sudden, shots start being fired. Again, run, hide, fight, right? It's in that order. Run, hide, fight. That's kind of the whole mantra of get away, get your family away, get those you're protecting away. Hide if you have to, fight if you must. That's kind of the mantra that we should all kind of live by. We want to de-escalate. We don't want to necessarily have to be involved unless it's an absolute necessity. But in a situation like that, I was thinking, what would you do? How would you know who is responsible for what? Especially if you come in partway through it, or you come in just as the whole thing was unfolding. We don't know who was armed in this situation. We don't know if it was the father, if it was the stranger. We don't know if they were both armed. We don't know since the stranger and one of the kids both got injured, possibility is maybe both of them were armed. I don't know. But it's one of those things where I keep thinking about, as you walk into that situation, how do you determine that? It is kind of one of those nightmare scenarios. And again, probably the best solution is to remain out of it, stay on the sidelines, offer whatever testimony you can, and only if it escalates beyond, I guess, that group of people would you then be forced to make a decision. I was just thinking, I've been reading this story all morning, and I just keep thinking about it. I keep cycling back to it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But it's one of those things where you just don't know. All right, we got to go here. The Michael Duke Show continues. You're home for Common Sense Radio.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
I just don't know. I mean, to me, that is, you always think when you're trying to think about, I'm going forth armed. What am I doing? What would my plan be? How would I deal with this? You go to active shooter drills. You do this kind of stuff. You go to the courses, but this is one of those uncomfortable situations where you just know you don't know what to do. Do you just flee? Run, hide, fight, right? Do you flee just first things first? Do you stay off onto the sidelines to make sure that it doesn't escalate any further? I just, yeah. I mean, this is it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I don't know exactly. I don't know what you would do. It really has really got me thinking this morning. Because again, in most situations that you've probably game theoried out in your mind, it's pretty obvious who the bad guys are, right? It will be to you in your mind. It will be obvious that, this is the thug, right? This is the criminal. This is the mass shooter. This is the carjacker. This is the holdup guy at the grocery store or the convenience store. But in a situation like that, where you wander into the middle of something that you have no real definition of who is good, who is bad, who is right, who is wrong. Are they two good people who let their emotions get the better of them? Is it escalated into something else? Do you remain near the scene to at least make sure that it doesn't unfold into something worse? Do you just simply flee? And I guess there would be a whole nother, to me, there would be a whole nother area. If I was there with my family, well, I'm going. That's the bottom line. Is my family is more important than anything else, whether it's a mass shooter or whatever. My family's more important. We are exiting. We are exfil. That's exactly what we're doing. We are exfilling the situation. We are out of here. If I'm there by myself, maybe I observe until I can't observe anymore. Until something. Just what Jeannie says, be an excellent observer until you are forced to act. Until you are forced to act. Until you're forced to act, you got to be an excellent observer. Getting ready for Willie here. But it's it's. I mean, this is again this is not LA. This is downtown Anchorage. And really, it wasn't. I mean, that's like one of the better places in town. Down on Abbott Loop, that's one of the nicer areas. It was one of the safer areas. I would expect something like this at Fred Meyer's over on Muldoon or something, but maybe up in Mountain View. But this is deeper into the kind of nicer area of Anchorage, and it's a little shocking. But again, the whole story just really made me think. How do you know? How do you know what's going on? How do you know what's happening if you stumble across a situation like this that is obviously not cut into? Now, I wasn't there and we don't have all the details. I mean, I've just basically read you all the details that are available. Maybe it was very clear that the guy was who knows, some methed out, whatever. We don't know. But I just kind of painted it into a picture of thinking, I mean, again, and it's a little sus that the father took the injured child and the mother and dropped them off at the hospital and then left. That's a little sus. Like, because I mean, I'm not leaving my kid. If my kid is, I could see taking your kid who's injured, not waiting for the cops or the ambulance or anything else. I'm like, I'm getting him to a hospital now. I could see that. But then to leave with the kid, yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing is sus. So I don't know. But it does make me think about if you're out and about and it's not a strictly cut and dry situation that you find yourself in, what do you do? And again, I guess it would be situational. My family's there. We are out. We're dipping right now. Boom. Dip out. Sorry, gone. If it's just me alone, maybe I hang out along the edges of the peripheries, just observing until something else happens. And if not, I mean, I don't know. This is the kind of what if scenarios I kind of play out in my mind sometimes. And this one just came about because I'd never considered it from that angle before. So interesting stuff. But what do you think? You guys tell me what you think. I want to know. I want to know what you think about that. Okay, where are we at? Oh man, where's my phone? That's here. Okay, I'll make sure my phone is. I didn't have my phone on buzz. I had my phone on silent. I want to make sure that we're not gonna be. Okay, jumping back into it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like it, share, like it, follow, do all the things, the YouTube and the Facebook things and everything else. We're going to jump back into it here, and we're going to do that right now. Thanks for coming in. Willie is going to give it to us now. Do it, Willie. Hi there, ho there, hey there. Final segment of the show for today. You know what that means. The Waffle Meister comes on board, and he only likes butter pecan syrup, so you better be ready for that. It's all, or maybe it was blueberry. I've forgotten already. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Oh, who doesn't love the butter pecan syrup?
Oh man, I know.
God.
It's like
yeah,
IHOP is not haute cuisine, but boy, you could never go there without having at least one pancake with the blueberry or the pecan. You just can't do it. You got to have at least.
Oh yeah, because you gotta have the adventure.
Yeah,
you got to live life on the edge, man.
Exactly.
That's what they're there for. They know it. Yeah. They're little siren teas reaching out to you, going, "Oh, would you like to try some of our syrups? We can even warm them for you."
Oh, exactly. I know. Just scream, diabetes, here I come, and plunge into the deep end. All right. Well, let's jump into it for the weekend. We got a lot of news going on. We got 3 different shows, but let's talk about the news first. This is a promotion. I don't know who at Airbnb thought this was a good idea, but Airbnb has decided to do a promotion with none other than Gwyneth Paltrow. Give me the deets.
That's right. Do you want to stay at Gwyneth Paltrow's guest house? Yes, you will now have the opportunity. So they're going to roll it out on Airbnb on Tuesday, the August 15th, and you will be able to book a one-night stay for you and a guest on September 9th, very particular. It's got to be September 9th, and you get to stay in Gwyneth's guest house. Oh, but no, that's not all, my friends. Not only do you get to stay in the guest house, you get the use of the Olympic-sized pool.
Ooh.
You get to participate in a guided transcendental meditation session. You get to enjoy a spa day.
Okay.
You get to have a bathroom full of all of Gwyneth Paltrow's products, and why Gwyneth and her hubby are going to stop by for dinner.
Okay. This is, all her goop. You're going to get a chance to get your hands on all of her goop. And of course, did they put a price tag on this? I know it's like a 14,000 square foot house plus the guest house and everything else. Did they put a price on this one night stay for 2 people?
They have not. They're holding back the price. And so it'll be curious to see how much it's going to be. I haven't heard any mention of the money going to charity or anything like that. So maybe Gwyneth is just trying to score some extra cash like all these other people who run Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And but you got to remember, this is not just like, a nice little guest house.
Right.
She has this palatial mansion in ritzy Montecito, California, where like Oprah lives and former Prince Harry lives, and these people that have a lot of dough.
Right. And of course, it's going to be money, honey. I can tell you right now. Maybe Goop is not doing so well. She needs that extra cash. I don't know. It's I just can't.
Hey, inflation's hitting us all, man.
It's hitting us all. All right. Maverick is not just a movie. I mean, Top Gun Maverick is not just a movie. Now it's going to become a way of life, or at least a way of business life.
I just think these are hilarious. I mean, this is where you and I went wrong. We should have come up with something like this. So, like businesses, these big corporations, like they want to do like team building activities and leadership seminars and kind of get everybody to like each other and learn how to make good decisions. Well, this one is run by former pilots, former Navy SEALs, and military commandos. It is the Top Gun experience. For up to $100,000, they take you into a series of team building skills that'll help keep you focused on your objectives, improving your decision making, all while trying to carry out a mission. And yes, you get your own call sign, man.
You get your own call sign. I'd be like Squawky McSquawky or something, and it would be, But yeah, I mean, okay, $100,000 to come in and motivate and educate your employees, and I mean, what are they doing? Paintball? I don't even know. I mean,
they're doing all sorts of stuff. Although I would think human resources is going to stop you from doing the shirtless volleyball exercise. I think that's probably not a good idea.
What, riding a motorcycle down a highway without a helmet? That's going to be one of the exercises?
That'll be one of them. Yeah,
that'll be it.
No, so it's, I mean, even some of these things even have like air fighter simulators. Like, so like you're in the plane and you guys have to like carry out the mission and you got to plan the mission and, things happen along the way and you have to make decisions and you have to instruct your team to do the right thing. And will they follow you? And it gets crazy.
Well, again, maybe we should have created our own. Although I don't think the Top Gun experience, I mean, I don't think, the Mike and Willie experience would not probably go as good as the Top Gun experience. I just don't think we could demand that top dollar. All of our years in radio, the two pudgy guys telling you exactly how to do it.
We'd have to almost do like a Willy Wonka themed kind of experience. Like, do you know the right chocolate to pair with that coffee in the morning?
I see. Okay. Yeah. And I see how I love how you incorporated the Willy. So you're taking top billing here. I see how this is. This is why this would never have worked, because this is an equal partnership, buddy. Equal partnership. All right. Well, $100,000. I guess if you got the money to burn, good to do. The big game's coming up, the Super Bowl, which again, when is that? I can't even remember. What is that? Isn't that like January?
That would be in February.
February, okay.
February.
You know how much of a sports fan I am, Willie. Come on.
I know.
You bring me this story and I'm like, okay. But if you don't care who wins, you got an alternative.
Oh, absolutely. You have an alternative. And this is something that the NFL has been trying out for a few years. They did this with some playoff games. They've done it with some other games. Now there is going to be an alternate broadcast of the Super Bowl on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Yes. The 2024 Super Bowl will also be broadcast on Nickelodeon. And if you've ever seen their broadcast, they incorporate, slime,
the green slime, the famous green slime, right?
Appearances by Nickelodeon stars, unique ways to look at the stats, all sorts of craziness. It is geared towards kids. It's supposed to, give kids who maybe don't give a darn who wins the game a chance to enjoy the game with their family.
Right.
Meanwhile, everybody who cares about the game is secretly watching CBS in the other room because they want to see the real game.
Well, this is the thing. They're trying to, they're like crack dealers on the corner. First taste is free. Get them while they're young. They're trying to get all these kids on it. I mean, has it been successful? Have the past? Go ahead.
Yeah, they've done well with them, and the thing is, this is the first time the Super Bowl has ever done this. I mean, usually the Super Bowl it's that one station at that one time, and we're all on board. And by kind of breaking it off, they're kind of going down the road that I think you're seeing a lot of other broadcasts do. Monday Night Football, has like Monday Night Football, and then if you want to flip the channel, you can watch Peyton Manning and his brother joke around about the game, and so
right.
this is a way to kind of appeal to other audiences, and believe me, they're going to add up the numbers.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, well, on CBS we had this much, but also on Nickelodeon we had this much, so it's this high of a rating,
right? So they're spreading, they're spreading the appeal basically and trying to capture more market share. I could see it. I think it's kind of a brilliant idea if it works. I mean, why not? Fine, do it. Give the people what they want. My buddy and I yesterday got into this, my engineer at work, and we were talking about Taylor Swift specifically. And we got talking about this, and he told me about this story. I didn't even know about it. So Taylor Swift apparently has given out for this world tour that she's, supposedly was just finishing, although she just added 16 more dates. But she just offered a tip to her crew. It was $55 million worth of money she distributed to her crew, and truck drivers really got a good deal. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah, no, Taylor knows how to tip, man. Let me tell you, she got a better bonus than any of us will ever see in our entire lives. Yes, here at the end of her era's American leg of the tour, it's going to go international next, and then they're going to come back in 2024 and do some more American dates. But clearly, I'm just going to say the most successful concert tour I think we've ever seen
in the history of the world.
In the history of the world, making more money than ever. She's going to clear something like $500 million just for herself. And because of all of this that's going on, she's sharing the wealth. And yes, she gave all the truck drivers, there's about 50 of them, she gave each one of them $100,000 just to say thanks for sticking with me. And she gave an undisclosed amount to all the other band members and dancers and caterers and tech crew. And remember, this is all a bonus.
Right.
They were already getting paid to do this.
Right.
This is just like, and I point that out because so few of us in this world anymore get anything related to a bonus.
Right.
Yeah. I remember when growing up, you'd hear about people talking about Christmas bonuses.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But when you work for Taylor, you get a tour bonus, baby.
Yeah, it's insane. They estimate that her current tour, the U.S. leg, made something like $650 million with expenses, and now this tip. They're saying she made 500. But the rub of it was this morning or yesterday, they announced that she added 16 more dates to the American end of the tour before she goes down to Latin America. And like the Los Angeles, where she just ended, she had 6 back-to-back shows in a stadium. Yeah. Every one of them was sold out. Every show was 6 days back to back. What do those stadium hold? 50,000 people?
Oh, even more than that.
50, 60,000 people. And then the new dates are in Miami and New Orleans, and it's just they're all Toronto. Yeah, it's all the same thing, and it's multiple days in the same location because she sold every one of them out. Man, she is like printing money, man, printing it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I honestly think this is like one of those tours that goes down in rock and roll history. When people look back at, say, like Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA tour,
right?
Or the Rolling Stones in '72 was just a massive tour that changed rock and roll. I think people are going to look back at this and go, that was the height of her power. She did something that nobody else has been able to do.
Yep.
Nobody's going to be able to copy. It's going to be a very long time before anybody copies it. And this is just going to be historic.
Yeah, this is $1 billion. It's going to be $1 billion tour by the time it's all said and done. All right. Yeah. I went too long on that. We're down to about 3.5 minutes here. So we got 3 things. What do you want? Okay. You want to give me all 3, or you just want to pick 2? What do you want to do?
All right, I'll give you 3, but I'll go fast. So
okay.
We have Meg to the trench. Yes, Jason Statham is fighting massive sharks one more time.
Megalodon.
Yes. And, it's just goofy and silly. It is everything that you would expect it to be. Yes, now, after they've kind of captured the one from the last movie and they've trained it, Jason Statham's like, dude, he ain't trained. I think he's taking advantage of us. And sure enough, some bad guys do some bad stuff. And it turns out there's more than one Meg out there. And now Jason Statham has to stop them all. I'm going like 1.5 waffles.
I mean,
it's only good when he's going crazy.
I'm just like, how could you even take that seriously? All right. So Meg 2, The Trench, 1.5 waffles. What's next?
Then we have on Amazon a new series, The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart.
Okay.
And I throw this out there because it's kind of been guy-centered this week. And this is one for, I think, more ladies. I'm not saying that in an offensive way, but this is a movie that appeals to ladies, right? This young girl, her parents died tragically. We learn that there's all sorts of horrible things that have been happening with that family. She's now shipped off to live with her grandmother, who she's never met, played by Sigourney Weaver. And now we're going to learn all the secrets of the family, all of the grandmother's secrets, all the secrets of these people who live on this flower farm where she's living now. Secrets.
I'm
going to go 2.5 waffles.
The whole movie should have just been called Secrets. I mean, is it a good story or what?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I like how everything's a little mystery. Like, you get this little tease. Like, we kind of know what happened with this girl and her parents. We get this tease that, something happened in the past with them. We get this tease that grandma has had some troubles in the past. We get this tease that, the women who work on the flower farm are there for a reason. And you're kind of waiting for it to all to pay off. And you got 7 episodes to wait.
All right. Well, we'll see what it's at. 2.5 for The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. Finally, TMNT. 90 seconds. Give it to me.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. We're starting from the beginning. This time produced and written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg.
Okay.
And yes, we learn the origin story of the Turtles. We have Jackie Chan back as Splinter, the rat father. We learn why he hates the humans, why he wants the Turtles to hide from the humans, but they just want to party. And they think that they'll endear themselves to humans by stopping this evil gang that's kind of ruining New York. Except they're in for more than what they bargained for because they're also mutants.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how many times you can rehash this. Give me a waffle meter reading on this.
I'm going to say a good, fun energy. And I like the animation. The animation is really cool because they try to harken back to the way the old comic books, the old underground comic books before they became commercialized,
right,
like for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's a unique look, and I think it kind of draws you in.
All right. Well, good. Well, we'll see what that is. 2.5 waffles for TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, Willie Waffle. Thank you, my friend. It's good to talk with you as always.
Hey, you got it, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Next week, we got more stuff coming up. I don't know if we got any big movies, but we'll talk with Willie about that in a bit. All right, folks, we're out of time. I hope you enjoyed this weekend. It's going to be beautiful. Be kind, love one another, live well. We'll see you on Monday. I think I'm getting old, Willie. I think like that's a big surprise.
Why do you think that?
Well, I just, I used maybe 5 years ago, I probably would have been like, yeah, I'll watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And now I'm like, no, I got something else to do. I don't know. It's just not, appealing. Even as much as I love Jason Statham being kind of nutty and zany and goofy, I just don't see myself going to watch Meg 2 or even the first Meg or even, it's just like, I don't know. I'm getting to that point in my life where I'm like, that's 2 hours I'll never get back. Do I want to, it's kind of weird.
Well, and I think the thing that's so much different now than it was like 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, there's just this massive plethora of material. I mean, like, you used to be able to say, okay, there's one really big movie that we're all going to watch this weekend. There are 3 or 4 or maybe 5 big TV shows we're all going to watch.
Right.
That's all been blown up. I mean, you've got hundreds of things, thousands of things to pick from every week. And so if you want to be like the cool people, the hip people, in the know people, it's impossible. Because there's just so many things out there attracting so many different audiences. So, yeah, you're going to get the throwback people who love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they're going to probably take their kids.
Right.
You've got, like I said, you've got this group of people who want more of the sappy drama. They're going to watch that Amazon series, The Flowers of Alice Hart. You're going to have some people who are like, I just want to see some sharks because it's summer. Okay, You're going to go see the Meg.
Right.
I mean, it breaks everything up. And
right.
So it's hard to follow it all.
Well, and I would say it would be easier if you would come up with something new. right? I mean, this is Teenage Mutant. Like I said, how many reboots, how many shows, how many movies have we done on the same theme? You know, it's the same kind of just this continuous, or it's a sequel like Meg or whatever. You know, I mean, I keep harping on this every week, and I feel bad about it sometimes, but I'm just like, Hollywood, can you just, I know you guys are in it to make money, and I know that there's a sure thing in certain things, but can't you just come up with, because when you do find something new, it can be amazing, and yet they're just not willing to take a crack at it.
No, they're not. And, and even, hey, listen, I understand why you go for a reboot. What's been the biggest movie? What have been the two biggest movies this year so far? Barbie and the Super Mario Brothers.
Yep.
And those were based on something that everybody knew.
Or in Top Gun last year, right? Top Gun last year was the same kind of thing. Same kind of thing. Yeah, it's a sequel. So well,
so hey, the Guardians of the Galaxy #3, one of the biggest movies of the year.
Yeah.
Again, a sequel. So I'm with you. I hate to see it. I think if you're really looking for something new and something exciting and something, different, you almost have to look to the streams anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's the only place where people are truly taking chances. In the theaters, I think we've just seen the movies that are selling tickets are kind of the predictable ones.
Yeah.
And everybody likes to make money, and taking a big chance and falling on your face just is not financially worth it.
And I think the stream has delivered some amazing, alternative type movies. You had just recently, of course, Extraction, and Extraction 2.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one I was thinking about the other day? Because I understood that there was going to be Bright with Will Smith. Super unique. I mean, super unique, crossover urban fantasy and trolls and LAPD officers. And I mean, I really enjoyed that movie. And are they still do you know if they're still making a sequel? I heard that they were making a sequel.
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air because of Will Smith. And they're kind of holding back and going, let's see if people are willing to accept Will. And I think something like Bright moves forward if the Bad Boys 4 movie takes off next year.
Okay.
When
I mean, just that kind of idea of such a unique story, totally, out of left field, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're looking for.
Don't forget, it would have moved forward if Will Smith hadn't slapped Chris Rock.
That's true.
Like that was happening.
Exactly.
That was totally happening. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just hoping that they, maybe out of this writer strike. I mean, I think if they wait too long in this writer strike, they're going to come back to a world that's totally changed between reality TV expanding and more AI stuff. They're walking a dangerous line here. Something could fundamentally change and it could be a whole different deal. I don't know what happens, but it's they're playing with fire at that point.
Yeah, and it's already starting. I mean, all the networks have already lined up their replacements for the fall, and they're like, somebody's going to watch this stuff. And if you don't want to write Young Sheldon and you don't want to write, whatever it is, the Chicago Med, we're going to just find something else that people want to watch.
Exactly. Well, we'll see what happens. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Thank you so much, Willie. As always, a lot of fun, and looking forward to next week, my friend. Have a good weekend with your travels.
Hey, you got it. Talk to you next week.
Folks, we're out of time. Got to go. Mean it this time. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. We'll see you on Monday. Have a good one. Enjoy.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.